I am a Presby geek and a Presby nerd. Attending GA as a commissioner has been on my bucket list. Our time together in Salt Lake City was filled with spirit, music, worship, thoughtful discussion, much discernment, and yes, moments of frustration.
In full assembly, we covered a range of topics from social justice issues to theological education, environmental stewardship, many more things. Major actions included the reaffirmation of the church's commitment to racial equality, justice, and reconciliation. Several overtures passed called for actions addressing racial disparities in our church and society, including supporting congregations in their efforts to engage in anti-racism work. The Assembly adopted measures to strengthen our church's response to climate change and environmental deregulation, supporting initiatives for sustainability in our communities, and encouraging congregations to examine their own environmental impacts.
We initially painted ourselves into a corner, approving both of my committee's overtures. One vote to immediately divest, the other to make recommendations for future meetings with fossil fuel corporations as shareholders. We ultimately chose to engage these companies rather than walk away.
We approved funding for supporting theological education in all ages, reaffirmed our commitment to nurturing and equipping church leaders,
directing the Board of Pensions to revisit medical plans for 2025 and beyond, based on the major forecasted increases for next year. We approved major changes to our denominational offerings, going from 4 a year to 3 annually, with cause-based instead of program-based beneficiaries beginning in 2026.
And there were also discussions about new ways to support church growth and revitalization, particularly in areas where the church presence is shrinking. We had the opportunity to connect with global partners and reaffirm our commitment to being a church that stands in solidarity with Christians around the world. We endorsed new opportunities for mission and ecumenical collaboration with our siblings in faith, and many of these overtures especially were closely tied to the work that I experienced in my committee time, as I was selected to sit on the committee which reviewed international relations and policy.
We rejected the request of our Korean churches to establish them as a caucus based on their poor treatment of women in ministry and elsewhere.
We presented motions denouncing Christian nationalism, educating people on the dangers of Christian Zionism and how it differs from political Jewish Zionism, and overtures related to various ongoing conflicts worldwide.
We elected C.C. Armstrong and Tony Larson as co-moderators on the first ballot.
C.C. and Tony, both of whom insisted that they be called by their first name and keep it casual, presented everyone with toy cars or stickers with cars on them, with CAR being the acronym representing their vision for the church over the next several years. Community, alignment, relationships.
We elected Ji-hun Oh as elected stated clerk of the General Assembly, the first woman of color to serve in that position. We directed the PCUSA to take specific actions of love and responsibility for children as part of the movement to prevent gun violence.
Performances and receptions offered a diverse opportunity to witness the word in action in many ways. Hosting congregations in the Utah Presbytery highlighted diversity and wonder in the community of believers, from Japanese koto drumming to folk ballads to original prayers and poetry readings that offered connections and celebrated arts and humanity as well as the glory of God.
We did all that and more in 3.5 days. It was exhausting. It was exhilarating. I treasured time spent with colleagues and friends, old and new. We strove to listen for the guidance of the Holy Spirit as we discussed, debated, and voted.
There were also times that we took quick mental breaks where if you didn't see it on social media, you might not believe it, but the whole assembly got up to do the electric slide led by our moderators.
We did the electric slide together. I may or may not have participated.
Thank you again for the opportunity to serve, and please continue to keep our church in prayers as we move forward in faith together, living into hope for many years to come.
The work of the General Assembly wasn't always easy, and it wasn't always fun, but it was always important, and it was always tended to by all in attendance with energy, intelligence, imagination, and love. Thanks be to God.